Okay, my name is Clark Baker. I'll be moderating this session, and I'm happy to present if these guys run out of material. On my far left, we have Corbin Geis from Altoona, Pennsylvania. He's going to be presenting on one-night stands, schools, handy capable. He has the pink handout with the cartoon artwork on it, and so far there's still copies available. Next to my left is Vernon Jones from Springstown, Texas. He's going to talk perhaps about 9-pin and maybe about other things. And he has no handout at the moment. He failed to bring a handout. But, if he were to send me anything, and same thing with Corbin, I'm happy to put all the stuff. I try to get all the talks I do up on my website so anyone can see them later and download them. And I'm happy to include, a one-pager or whatever on that. I have a card with that in it, and I'm happy to give that to you in just a moment. To my right is Bear Miller from Littleton, Colorado, and he has several possible ideas he's going to do, but maybe we'll make him with one call behind his back. Okay, or whatever. And I'm from Belmont, Massachusetts, and I have several ideas. I have a section on my website called Games. The CALLERLAB home office printed out that web page and made like 25 copies for you. And I have cards with my URL of my website, or you can Google Clark Baker Square Dance, and you can find that and all the other talks. And with any luck, I will add their talks to it, so it's there. Without further ado, let's have Vernon Jones start. Oh, we're in Niagara Falls, New York. It's 10:45 on Monday the 29th. And there's a huge room full of people. Thank you for coming to this.
Good morning, everyone. How are we doing? Good, 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 good. It's always a pleasure to be at the CALLERLAB convention. It just kills me that when people, you talk to people, and Bill spoke to this point a little bit earlier this morning, that, you talk to other callers and they go, I don't want to go, or I've heard it, and I've seen it, and I've done it, and blah, 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 and this, that, and the other. And I always come to these conventions, and I always take something away. I mean, I don't care who you are. There's some place, somewhere something that you haven't seen, and this is one of them. I mean, I'm going to get mine over with because I want to be a willing, not particularly a participant, but to see, because some of the stuff that Corey and that Bear are going to do are things that I haven't seen or heard of before. So I want to get mine over with so I can concentrate on what they're doing. Here in a minute, I'm going to ask for a square. I don't know how that we can tell you all these games are great and this is how you do it and blah, 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 and wasn't that fun? Well, how do you know it's fun or whether it works or not unless you see it demonstrated? So here in a minute, I'm going to ask for a square to get up. I'm going to talk about 9-pin. Who's familiar with 9-pin? Okay, more than I expected, but that's nothing wrong with that. You've never heard of it? Okay, well, let me enlighten you. Yeah, it's a bowling game. But 9, okay. Shush. Thank you. I forgot what I was talking about now. 9-pin, okay, thank you. 9-pin, you can probably deduce how many people participate in the 9-pin. You got, your normal square dance squares have 8, and you're going to have a ninth. The ninth is going to be in the middle. This thing works really good, and I know that how many of y'all have square dances? You call for dances, this, that, and the other, and you've always got 4 squares and 2 couples. It never fails. That happens. There are other things that you can do. Clark may talk about hexagon squares here after a while, but 9-pin is one of those things that you can do that you can get some extra people involved. Okay, if you don't have enough to fulfill a square, you can get them to going. You can't do it every tip because after a while, anything will get old. I don't necessarily use it at every dance, especially if it's the club that I call for. But what happens is you get a square of dancers up, and then you put the 9-pin in the middle. And then you call some stuff. Now, you can't just go nuts on choreography. Now, then, when you're doing 9-pin, that is not the time to try to show everybody how great you are with choreographic puzzles. Okay, because the object is to get the 9-pin dancing and get somebody else in there. What you want to do is explain to the people that we're going to be dancing around, and the 9-pin stands in the middle of the square, and everybody has to dance around the 9-pin. Okay, and at some point you can use different kinds of cues or keys or whatever. I use break and swing, because at that point we're going to break and swing, and that's when the 9-pin can go in and steal your partner. And you become the 9-pin if you're the one that got ousted. If they got to somebody before you did, you have to go into the middle, and that's the game, back and forth the entire time. You don't have to have all males or all females, okay? You can use different, just whoever happens to be in the middle. And then you just, I blew my train of thought. You derailed my train of thought. Thank you. It wasn't any of you guys up here. And that's the game that you play the entire time, back and forth, back and forth. One of the things that you want to try to avoid, and it doesn't make any difference what dance you go to or what event you go to, there's always somebody that don't like to play the game. This ain't fun. I've had people at some of the dances where we announced that the 4th tip was going to be 9-pin, and they didn't dance any tips until they got to the 4th tip, and then they always the ones that come up and complain, this wasn't any fun. Well, why did you dance that tip then? But if you get, and I'm not picking on anybody, but we all know who we're talking about. Somewhere, somebody, the dud of the square is going to be the 9-pin at some point. Like Tom Miller. It never fails. Don't want to have any fun. Doesn't want to do anything. If you see that situation arise, and you can tell it. You can tell by the body language. They're standing there. They're not looking around. They're not wanting to do anything. Try to get them out as quickly as you can and get somebody else. You want people to be actually in the middle who are ready to pounce. Does everybody see what I'm saying? Do what? No, you said something, Lynn. What was it? Okay. Which is great. I don't think Clark mentioned this earlier, but, if you have comments, great. Let's get them on the microphone so we can hear them. You want somebody in the middle who's ready to pounce, who's ready to play, okay? Because when it comes time to, break and swing, that's when you want them to have enthusiasm. If they're just standing there and not doing anything, nobody's having any fun. And so I can, go on talking about it. Let's get a square up, please. And,
my suggestion is let's move this table.
Okay.
Put a square over here? Okay, great. That'll be fine. I need people. Let's go. And this is not going to last long, I assure you. I need a square. Yeah, see, it never fails. You got too many. I need a male occupant. Are you ready to pounce? Look like you're bored. Can we scoot this way a little bit? You're a sneaky pouncer. Okay. I'm just going to walk them through just a little bit to give everybody an example. Then I'm going to put some music on, and then we're going to do a tip of what we're talking about. Okay. We can do, and if we go into the middle like the boys promenade or the girls promenade, you promenade around him. If we're doing something like in Four Ladies Chain, girls, you put your right hands up on his cute little head, and you star around his head and muss his hair up if he's still in the way. Okay? Four Ladies Chain. Chain them home. Okay? Join hands and circle to the left. Alamana left. Do-si-do. Now you got to be ready, 9-pin. No, you can. Oh. See, we've already got a cheater here. Huh? This is not your game. This is my game.
Nine pin, you have to be in the middle. You have to be in the middle until you hear break and swing. No. He's a sneaky pouncer. Okay, who are we looking at now? Partner. Okay, do-si-do. Boys, make a left-hand star. Break and swing a 9-pin. And promenade, go around the ring. Promenade around the hall and then heads. Y'all know the heads. Go forward and back. Square through forward. You have to go around the 9-pin. And then I want to point out that at this particular point right here, this is not a good place to call break and swing because the 9-pin doesn't have a chance. Can everybody see that? Okay, because, you got somebody in front of you. Okay? Swing through. Boys run right. Ferris wheel. Break and swing. And promenade, go around the ring. You promenade around the hall and roll it round. 4 ladies chain. You chain them home, you go. Join hands and circle to the left. Ladies center the men's sachet. Now this. And then if you got somebody who's having trouble getting in, you make it easy for them. Ladies center, break and swing and promenade, go around the ring. You promenade around to go now. Get back home and then and now. 4 girls to the middle and join hands, circle left. Back out, you're home. 4 boys to the middle, join hands and circle to the right. Now, if I said break and swing here, you'd have him trapped. Back out and home. Alamana left. Do-si-do with the partner. Do a right or left grand. Do-si-do. Join hands and circle to the left. Reverse, circle to the right. Single file. Boys, backtrack and go the other way around. That usually gets them around. Step in behind your partner. Boys, star left in the middle. Break and swing. And promenade around the ring. You promenade around to go. Back home and roll it round you go. Did I say that was part of the rules? No, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Good. Sides face. Grand square. Go. Break and swing, swing. Pretty little ring, and you promenade, go around. You promenade around, you go, and to get back home around, you go, and now and then one more. Walk around the corner. Turn partner by the left. Head lady center, take up chain. Break and swing. A pretty little thing, and then promenade around to go. Promenade around. You notice that it usually happens. You usually get somebody who can constantly be in the 9-pin. Give the dancers a nice hand. Didn't they do good? Anyway, there you go. An idea on something that you can do to break up the monotony at your square dance club, and especially if you've got extra people sitting around. Use it, try it. It's a lot of fun. Thank you.
Corbin, you want to go next, or Bear?
I did want you all to notice. Did you notice the music that was just on? And y'all know what it was? Okay, do I need to make that announcement? But anyway, Vernon, what's so special about that song? What's your daughter's name? Your wife's name. Oh, we thought she was your daughter. Vernon's wife's name is Kayla. The name of the music is on Royal, and it's called Kayla Ray. So we specially chose that music for him because he didn't bring any with him.
I love that music. Because I was told to. But since you brought that up, I did know that there was one on there called Kayla Ray, and yes, my wife's name is Kayla, and that's named after, Royal Records is co-owned by Tony, and that's Tony's daughter, and he did name it after Kayla.
Tony's, never mind. Anyway, hi, my name is Bear Miller. I am from Denver, Colorado. And we're here to talk about games. And the first thing when I saw that they invited me to do this is I looked at who I was getting to do this panel with, and I was just like, wow, these are crazy guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. So anyway, so then I had to reach out there and figure out what we're going to do, because a couple of years ago we did a session. It was actually a dance session at night, and they had a bunch of games we played. Well, those are the games I play because I stole them from there. And then we had to come up with new stuff for here. So I use a couple of different things, and I don't know if we need to square up for them or not. I'm just going to talk about the first one. The first one is called One Call Behind My Back. And at my dances, occasionally, I will let the squares pick. Hopefully, I don't go for when there's a lot of squares. But if I have less than 8 squares, I will let each square pick one call. And that is for that one tip, I cannot call that call. And sometimes they're very interesting. They try to figure out what will mess me up. Like they think are an element left or a pass through, right and left through. What call might I have to work around? Some of them will just actually be the call they don't want to hear. They'll tell me spin chain through, and I can pretty much leave that out pretty easily. But it's more fun when they pick something out there to actually be with. And I usually, when I do this, I take something with me, some gold-covered chocolates or something, just something fun to give a prize to whatever square is going to be the winning square, whoever chose the call that I first can't live without during that tip. But it's fun to be really creative. Like if they take away a pass-through from you, to really start thinking in your mind, what can I do to do a pass-through when I get in a formation I want to call pass-through without calling pass-through? And see if they catch the joke. Because I'll say individually veer left and individually veer right. And they get there and they go, they turn around and look at you and try to figure out what went wrong there. Some of their favorite things are to take away an element left. You can deal with that. That's not a problem. You can put them back at home. You can do right and left grands. The one group caught me because I tend to try to level the floor. I had 7 squares, and the one call picked up to the middle and back. I found out that I have a really hard time living without that because it just comes out of my mouth. But it's a great game for me and for the dancers because they get part of it, but it makes me work as a caller to figure out how I can do choreography without that call. I've got that call behind my back. And like I said, I don't like to do it with too many squares on the floor because not much left to call when they get done taking away 38 calls from me, But, and if there's just a couple squares, have them each pick a couple. It's just, I really enjoy that. And it's a good challenge. I take my bigger groups once or twice a year and say, let's play this. And I take some kind of goodie for the winning square if they can trip me up. And then I try to get, the more creative I get, the more I tend to mess up. So that's just a thought for you, and I really like it. One of the things I use when I get ready to graduate a class is called Sound Off. And Sound Off is a little game I play, and I get everybody who's going to be graduating from the class or select people to come up and either tell me their favorite call or I give them a call. I says, you're going to be a caller for tonight. And that's why it's really great with new graduating dancers. And I tell them to pick their favorite call, and then they have to sell that call. So I'm going to pick up volunteers. I should take the remote mic out there with me. Maybe we will. Green. Are we have volume there or anything? No, it says. Okay.
Test. There we go.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm going to have a couple people come up here, and I'm going to have them give a demonstration of what I'm talking about. Mike. Mike is from Colorado, so I can pick on him to start with. Anyway, what call would you like to say, Mike?
Alaman left.
Can't say it like that, Mike. You got to sell it. Mike, give me a call. Same one.
Alaman left.
How was it? Could he do better? Okay. Better?
Do a left Alaman.
Perfect. Remember that. All right. Keith, come here. Come stand here. Keith's really nervous. He's never danced before. He just graduated from his first class. He's been my best student. Stand back here by Mike. What call would you like to play with?
Pass through.
I could sleep my way through that one, huh? Sell it, Keith.
Pass through.
Yeah? Okay. Who wants to volunteer? Put your hand up. Tom? Yeah. Tom Miller from Pennsylvania. Bill Boyd, you'll be next. You're dressed so nicely, we've got to take advantage of everybody looking at you in your nice suit because you gave a great speech this morning, my friend. That was awesome. Tom Miller, what call do you like?
Swing through.
God, does not we get the hang of this? You're supposed to sell the call. Come stand by Keith. You know Keith? Good. Good. You've been in the same class for all this time. Sell swing through.
I want to do swing through.
You don't have to sell I wanna. I just want you to. Just the swing through would be fine.
Swing through.
Perfect, Bill. Vic and Debbie. They were here a second ago. Boy, we were boring that quick, weren't we? Are you ready? We got a call?
Boys run.
Now we got a bunch of comedians. Sell the call, Bill.
Boys, run around those girls.
How do you know it's the girls? Just boys running with me. Corbin, come up here. We're just going to give a quick demonstration. Pick a call and sell it.
Bow to your partner. I'll sell it to you for...
Vernon. This will be my last one. Is it a call? Am I going to take it away from you? Yes, I will. What other call do you really want to call?
Scoot back.
Scoot back. All right. Vernon.
How about Scoot Back Bear? I got a call called Scoot Back.
I just care about the scoot back part. I don't care about the bear. Scoot back.
Scoot back. Perfect.
Vernon.
Bear.
What's your call, honey?
Circle left.
Perfect. All right. So then as a caller, you're going to keep track of all those things. So we got Alaman left down here. We have pass through here. We've got swing through here. We've got boys run. We've got bow to your partner. No, we have scoot back. And we have circle left. So then I put on my music and I start playing. Now the game is for me to run back and forth to give them the microphone, for them to each give their own call. I put in calls in between, and hopefully I can resolve to the same time. Okay? Hey, Clark, since you're back there, would you put on some music? No, my wife's name is Sandy. No, well, bow to your partner. And your corners too, join hands.
Circle left.
And
Do an Alaman left.
a right and left friend and take them on home on a wing, you're there and then. Heads up the middle of the back, you go square through. Meet the outside too, you'll do a
Swing through.
Boys run.
bend the line, go up the middle and the back and then slide through, touch a quarter, scoot back.
Boys run.
And a right and left through in time. Up the middle and the back you go, slide through and
Do an Alaman left.
and a right and left band and around you know. Now hopefully you got to keep your eyes on them and the squares because everything's else going on inside your head. Cut the music. That gives you a rough idea of what put one call behind your back. Sit down. Give them a big hand, would you please? Thank you, guys. One year I made a big mistake, and I had a decent-sized class. I had 18. I had them across the stage, 2 rows of 9, and I was running and going crazy. The only thing I did was smart then was I had a little handout card that had all the calls on them, so I had them hold the call up in front of them as I was running back, so I tried to remember. But it was interesting when they'd pick a call to try and set a choreography that each one of them got to say at least once or twice. I went nuts. So be very careful when you use that one. I'm going to run through these other 3 a couple quick because we got Corbin to come up and do a lot of stuff for us. You guys are pretty good at this. Anyway, let me get a drink. Talk for a minute.
This is Clark. I'm just killing some time here. Do you know why engineers can't tell jokes? Timing.
Okay, the other one I use a lot in graduations. I'm sorry. I won't take another break during this thing. Another one on my list there is called Pick a Call, Any Call, but Only Once. And I like to use this at a graduation as well, plus level, mainstream level. And I have my list of callers there. I mean, my dancers on the floor who are graduating, and I have somebody else keeping track of the list. And it's fun because I have each of the dancers in. I pick out in any random order, call their name. They have to give me a call, any call. And then I call that call. They don't have to have it set up to call that or for that position or anything, but I call that call. We cross it off the list. Then I call on somebody else. They have to give me a call. We cross it off the list. And as we go on, calls start disappearing. They have to start thinking of more. I really enjoy doing this with the plus level because there are only 30 calls. At mainstream, where there's 68, the list gets very long because I try to go through the whole list and give everybody give me one of those. And if I have a class of 10, they'll end up giving me in a mainstream 6 calls each. Because they have to, and it's funny because when you're called on, dancers don't usually know the names of calls. When I call it, they respond very well. But to think of a call, they can't do it, especially when you call on them. Except for everybody else around them will whisper in their ear what to give, what call to give. But when that same person who's whispering, it's their turn, they can't think of one either. But it turns into good fun. Everybody's real supportive of each other. When I get down towards the end of the list, then I call on my angels to think about what other calls haven't been used. And I have somebody keeping track, and we celebrate when it all gets done. But that's pick a call, any call, but only once. The next two I stole from a couple of new callers. First one is from Tony Oxendine. I saw him do it at the Nationals in the Youth Hall. And it's called, do this call twice, but save one for later. And so what you do is you tell the group to slide through. But do it twice and save one for later. So they actually only do it once, and they save one for later. Then later when you're ready to do your get out, you say it's now later, and they go, oh yeah, I slide through. You call your allemande left, and you're done. Then later on, you tell them, okay, swing through, do it twice, save one for later. So once again, when you get to that point, you do a swing through, you can do a right and left brand, or you can just make it part of your normal pad or calling. Then you start stacking them. You say, okay, swing through twice, but save one for later. And then put in the back of your head and say, okay, now, later on in your little choreography thing, you say, spin the top, do it twice, save one for later. Slide through. Do it twice, save one for later. Then you get them set up in a 0 box, and you tell them, okay, it's now later, later, later. And invariably the groups you'll have chattering going on in your group. Oh, swing through. What's next? Spin the top. Oh, yeah. And then slide through. And then you go, allemande left, and they go, wow, we just called their own thing right there. So you can build as many as you want. You can play with it as hard as you want. You can tell them to spin chain through and do it twice, and they only do it once, and you kind of then just hesitate and say, I didn't say anything about saving one for later. And they'll do the second one. So you can really turn it into a fun game, make it as challenging as you want, depending on the group you work with. You can make it as simple as you want or as a basic. Clark?
I've also heard when you want to do multiple calls like that is swing through twice but put one in the closet. And then you can say do the one in the closet. And then it's, swing through twice, put one in the closet. And then you're going along and you're like, scoot back twice, put one under the bed. And so you can kind of position these things and you're like, do the one under the bed, do the one that's in the closet, do the one that's in the basement. And that way they...
Okay, amend, when you put this on your website, amend my little talk there. A little bit. And once we end, all these things are you don't use a night of these. You don't use it every tip. Unless you advertise a dance of being all games or something like this and people come in expecting it. Most of these things I do with my regular groups I call on a regular basis, maybe once a year, maybe twice a year at the most. The ones I like to use at graduations. But anyway, the last one I've got on my list is called After or Before. And I was at a dance once and we're dancing along. Marshall Flippo was the caller. And Flip was just calling a heck of a dance, and he called something that you couldn't do. We were facing out, and he said to do a right and left through. And we all grunted and groaned, and he went, oh, after you partner trade. And so then we're all going, oh, I can't believe Flip made a mistake, but he turned the whole thing into a game then to tell you to do things after you did anything. And the first couple were always something you couldn't do. And then he would say, do this after. Then he started getting you in a position in lines facing in. He'd say, do right and left through after you flutter wheel. And so you've gotten it done, so you had to go back and redo it again. And it just is a horrible, horrible thing. So I enjoyed it so much that I stole it from Marshall. And it's the same kind of thing. You set it up, the first few are... they think you made a mistake to start with, and you start turning around, and they think you're actually playing with it. So it's a good way, either to cover a mistake you made earlier, or to actually play with it, but to have this in your hip pocket to be able to do. And then Flip started saying, do this call before you do that call, after you do this call. Oh, yes, before and after just turned ugly, because then we're going, okay, do we do it before we do the after call, or before the call you gave us, before we do the after, the before? Yes. So those are just things really to play with. The last one I've got is one that I didn't put on the list that I remember that I play with occasionally. It's called the untip. And you take calls, and you would do a swing through, and then unswing through. Turn backwards half by the left and turn backwards half by the right. You do an unspin the top. You do an unright and left through, and you put everybody in a backwards motion. And then you see how far you can push the group. I had one group that I couldn't undo a yellow rock. But I had another group that I could unrelay the deucey with. And they all went backwards through the whole thing. But the thing I found when I did that is they start talking and learning the definitions, because you would do a call, they're thinking it's going to come, so they start talking about the definition as they're doing it, so they can say, okay, we did this, we turned 3/4, the ends moved up, and, we did a half by the right. Okay, now I'm going to undo that. What do I have to do? And I started listening to these squares actually defining the call as I would do it the forwards way, anticipating me doing the unway. And it was just fun. But, yeah, the group that couldn't un-yellow rock, I had this idea. I did it with one group. They did relay the deucey. The next dance I went to, I was in a different part of the state, went down there, and unswing through didn't happen. Un-do-si-do didn't happen. Un-yellow rock didn't happen. That part of that tip went away real fast. So it's one of those things, you analyze your group, you see what they want, and use these things very, very sparingly. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Okay, did everybody get the pink slip? The part that I want to do with the square games is to more of a certain audience of the one-nighters that we do, the school programs, and the handy-capable clubs. We want to get the fun in the square dancing. A lot of the games that these guys are talking about are more for the graduate dancers, which is awesome stuff, like your chess playing cerebral stuff. I'm more of the checkers kind of guy with this stuff. And one of the things I'm going to flip already on the back page that I was talking about is for your fun nights. When you first start into square dancing, why not do games the first night? A lot of the times people wait till about halfway through with the classes, and maybe there's a Christmas party and they start doing some games there. I know in our area, a lot of the times the games don't happen until the graduation. So my point would be, you got to reel them in and let them know how much fun you're having the first night. So a lot of fun nights, I do some of the games that I'm about to mention in here in this little brochure. And there's lots of games that I have written in here. But the two themes that I'm going with are the mixers. And you can see that picture on the inside, the dangle tangle. Does that look familiar at any of your dances? I told Bear last night, he says, what game did you bring? I said, Twister. I said, that's what it's going to look like if you play Twister. No, anyways, I do have a couple websites down here. I'm talking about the mixers, and I have Cal Campbell's website down at the bottom. I didn't even call him. I didn't tell him I was going to do that. I just put it in there. And the other one, I thought I saw Susie Q here, but for the dangles. And going into the schools and with the one-nighters, we're trying to get their interest in how much fun square dancing can be. And some of you know that you can do this. Some of you who are newer to the activity of calling, you might not have known this, especially with the dangles. Some of you know it, but put it in the back burners and totally forgot about some of these. I don't know if you ever go to get the full list of some of the dangles. It's incredible. And if you look at the cartoon, you see some people who get really into this. They make sashes and belts and hats and everything out of these fun badges. And if there's not a fun badge out there, or a fun badge, fun dangle, you can create your own. With the fun badges, I use them. Recently started using them with my Handy Capable Club, and I know Michelle does too. It's a lot of fun. And I keep bouncing back and forth already with just to have the fun in the square dancing. When I go into the schools a lot of times, if you do go into the schools as colors, I commend you, first of all. You're famous for your bravery and courage. And a lot of times I can't get them, we got a square dance. Not all the time. A lot of times trying to get them to dance together is hard. So if you look on the ones page where I talk about the different mixers, there's trios that you can do. There's Sicilian circles, which are mini squares. There's quadrilles. There's two-couple stuff. A lot of times, depending on what grade you go into, I'm talking in about the 5th and 6th grade where they don't want to touch each other's hands. It's like, hey, listen, in 2 or 3 years, you're going to be all over them, you know. I can get the boys to dance together and the girls to dance together. So I'll do a trio where there's 2 guys on the end and a girl in the middle, or 3 guys, or vice versa. There's so much stuff that you can do to make it fun. And you're still teaching square dancing. Cal and Ken and Bob Howell put together a book called Dancing for Busy People that has been my Bible for the past, 12 years or so. And the website is down at the bottom. And I have gone into the schools, in the one-nighters, and did more mixer stuff than I have the actual square. A lot of you guys, whenever you start your first night, you get in a great big circle. There's a lot of stuff you can do with that. Getting to the part with the fun badges. Here's a list of some of the fun dangles or dares that you can have with your newer dancers. There are tons more. When I did this with my Handy Capable Club, at first, they thought I fell off my rocker. And I said, okay, everybody take your shoes off. We're going to square dance into barefooted. And they all looked at me, and then Tom Miller calls at the club with me with the Handy Capable, and Tom and I reached down and took our shoes off, and they're saying, oh, my heavens. And then the kids took their shoes off. Some of them didn't want to do it at first, but when I told them, and we were working with the Special Olympics group, they're always competing or trying to get a badge or trying to get a certificate or a trophy. And when they started with these little badges, they just won with the bear. Of course, when we did the barefoot dance, we had to open the windows because it was in the middle of summer when we did it. But just fun stuff. And one of the things I used was Tom's daughter has a collection of fun badges. And she has it. I mean, she can wrap it all around like a sash of Miss America. And we brought her to show the kids, look at all the different badges. You square dance in the swimming pool? You square dance in an elevator? And it just started getting people talking. And we did the mummy dance. I'm sure some of you have seen the mummies where they wrap the collars up in the toilet paper. This is called fun. And we had to use 2-ply for me and Tom. It was, but the thing is, with the 3-ply, I don't know. It was brawny. It was actually brawny, is what we. But the whole part is you can do this with your graduate dancers. Sure, you can do this all the way up the challenge, but you can also do this with the new folks. And a lot of the times, people are so excited at Fun Night. I had 20 new dancers come in, and then the next week, only 10 show back up for the next week, and then the following week you have 2, and then you're talking by Halloween time, we only have 1 in our class. But if you do some crazy stuff, and then they say, wow, these guys are a lot of fun. You never know what can happen. Even in my one-nighters, when I go out and teach to Tom and I keep using Tom because he's my coach, and we lived near Penn State, and the fraternities, call us in to do parties a lot of time. And here we're all saying we're not going to get any of these people to join clubs. That's not our goal here. Our goal is to kind of plant the seed, to put the good taste in their mouth of square dancing. And we'll halfway through the evening, we'll do some of these crazy these games. Questions, answers, good. That's it. And I hope you like the cartoons. I have on the back side there the website for our Handy-Capable Club too, with all the different games that we play. Thank you.
Bear notes he always has bare feet. Okay. I have a variety of things, and I don't want to preclude you guys contributing stuff because I'm sure there's a ton of things you do that we haven't seen. I wanted to distinguish in my handout, which was called Square Games, and as I said, it's on the website, and I have a card I can give you that has a pointer to that, or you can always Google Clark Baker Square Dance, and you'll find this and all the other talks. The square games that I normally think of are the ones that I can do as a dancer in the back of the hall without bothering the caller or the other people. And you might say, well, why do I want to do that? And unfortunately, it's maybe because I'm kind of getting bored, or I've had enough of normal dancing. I want to do something different. Or I have a square of people who'd be fun to mess around with in a certain way. And there's some things we used to do way back when, like dancing arky, right? Just everyone half sachet. Try dancing it that way. Dancing no hands. It's harder than you think. We sometimes will use that as a class graduation stunt or whatever. As I got further along in my dancing career, I discovered you could dance mirror image, the way cars drive in England, for example. All the rights are lefts. Every boy is still a boy, every girl is still a girl, but it ends up there's many things we learn instinctively and we're doing on muscle memory, especially the tricky stuff. Quickly turning to face your corner. New dancers can't do that. Experienced dancers just have this instinct about where their corner is, how to do a courtesy turn. If you've ever had people do a right and left through when you have the boy and the girl in the other spot, you know you're fumbling around, you aren't quite sure. Well, it's even worse when it's mirror image, and it's like driving. You're coming up to an intersection, you want to make a right turn. Is that crossing traffic? Do you have to get over to the left? It's really hard. So dancing mirror image. All these things can be done with a square in the back of the hall. Nose dancing. You can actually dance sideways, where if I stand up, and as a guy, I'm going to stick my right elbow out. I'm going to stick my left elbow out and have my right hand down at my side, and I'm going to turn, and that's going to be my nose, and I'm just going to kind of dance through like that. And we've done it, especially as kids. You can do it in real time, while the caller is calling. So most of the games I mentioned are of that sort. That's not going to necessarily be for everyone. I have a couple other things that I sometimes show people, either out in the hallway or at the other game session or whatever, and maybe I'll present a couple of them. This one I thought of a way to make it kind of easy. It might be fun for people, it might not. We need any number of people just to get up here. I'm going to show you check line dancing. So we're going to do a little bit of line dancing. So just have, 4, 5, 6 people stand up in front of the room here and face the audience. There's one. We have one line dancer. 2. Oh, I don't know. I'm just making it up. There they are. We want them all facing the same way. Don't stand in front of the speaker, sir. What? In front of this speaker? This speaker. Yeah. So the idea is normally they would be in the back of the hall because we'd do this in the back of the hall, but we're up front, so this is fine. So let's pretend I'm the caller, and you guys are all going to dance the man number one's part of whatever the squares I'm calling to are doing. Now, this is actually pretty difficult, but I've thought about it, and we're just going to keep it easy. So if you were showing it to your crowd and wanted to do it. So everyone, you understand, even the girls, you're all doing the number one man's position of square dancing. No cheating. And the more using your hands and everything. And you bow to the partners. Let's try that again. And you bow to your partner. Face that partner, do-si-do. Face back in. Heads go forward and back. Heads, square through 4. Do-si-do. Corner, here, got the yellow man left. You don't clap on the yellow man left. Do-si-do your partner. Square your set. Good. Yeah, we do a one good clap on the yellow man left. In any event, you can kind of see it. If you get a whole room full of that, they're all there doing stuff with their hands, and star throughs are good and stuff like that. Now, if you get in the back of the room and try it like at the national convention and get like 20 people lined up, the caller's going to wonder, what are they doing back there? But some calls, the circle figures are really tough. Like, you guys ready? Join hands, circle left. It's really hard to go at the same speed the real squares go and stop at home. Right. Obviously, yellow man left and a right and left grand. And they won't be as synchronized. See, they're kind of right. And I've seen that happen. So it's a tough thing to do. And you can have anyone join you, and people ask, what are you doing? We're doing Czech line dancing. And it was invented by a guy in the Czech Republic. Okay, give him a hand. You guys are good.
When I teach my dancers to do this, because we do the same thing too, we teach them at the back of the hall when you're be number 3 man, pick out somebody in a couple of the squares to be your number 3 man, so you can have somebody to actually watch and help time out to at certain points. So you have a visual person of somebody in a square where they're at, in case you're not completely start getting confused. So
exactly what he says. I think I want to show Pavlovian partner next. I run a square dance weekend where it's a plus weekend, and on Saturday during the morning and afternoon, we try to schedule a variety of events instead of just having more plain old plus dancing. And it's hard to come up with ways that change the dancing that you can present to a floor of dancers that they'll find entertaining that aren't graduation party gimmicks. So some of what we've seen today could be suitable for graduation party gimmicks or things you'll want to do once a year, and especially if people haven't seen it, it's fun and entertaining. This is in a slightly different category, but you still need the whole floor to do it. So I'm looking for a square of plus dancers, and this is not going to be super complicated, and we'll see how it goes. And appropriate genders would be nice, but not completely required. Okay, we've got 5. In Cal's book of Dancing with Busy People, we have dances for 5 people. We're up to 6. There is a session later called Dancing with 3, 5, and 6 couple dancing. Good. The credit for this goes to one of our dancers and newer callers named Justin Lagakis, who currently is living in California. You guys are the heads. And the rule on Pavlovian partner, does anyone remember who Pavlov was in the experiment he did? You ring a bell, and what happens? The dogs salivate, right. So in this case, the rule is we're going to do normal square dancing. And whenever at the end of any call, except for Promenade Home, at the end of any call, if you're standing next to your partner, trade with them automatically. That's the Pavlovian part. Maybe look at your partner so you know who you're dancing with. And you bow to the partners. Corners all 4 ladies, chain 3/4. At the heads, past the ocean. Extend. You're next to your partner, correct? So you do the automatic trade. And Ginny's looking out. Cool. Boys trade. All hinge. Walk and dodge. Square through 3. Centers pass through. Centers run. everyone pass through. Tag the line all the way through. Peel off. Fan the top. Walk and dodge. Pass the ocean. And a right and left grand charge straight ahead. And you promenade her home. So I said not on promenade home. Weren't you listening? No. I knew there was going to be someone like you in the group. So we saw a bunch of things happen. If you were to take this home to your group, you're going to have a variety of dancers who have a variety of ideas, listening skills, dance skills, and whatever is happening. And some of the trades can be difficult and surprising. So you got to watch out for that and maybe adjust your timing. You up for another one? Same rule. If you're next to your partner at the end of any call, trade. All four ladies chain. Head slide through. Slide through. Hinge. Girls run. AC-doocy. Split circulate. So I'll keep going in a second, but one of the things I'm seeing here is we have to do the call and then say we're done, let's trade, as opposed to trying to do the call and effect a trade as we're going at the same time. The goal is to do a trade after you finish the first call. So you can't anticipate, oh, here comes my partner, I better start messing around. And if you crisply do the first call and then do the automatic trade, then I think it will be a little better. Okay, I forget where we are. Explode the wave. Fan the top. Hinge, scoot back. Hinge, AC-doocy. Extend the outsides trade. Ping pong circulate. And a right and left grand. So all this stuff is written beforehand. The guy who wrote it went on to do, you can sit down, thank you.
Give a big hand.
The guy who wrote this was very clever, and he went on after 5 or 6 sequences to say the rule now changes whenever you're facing your partner, touch a quarter. Or a different rule, whenever you're beside your partner, half a trade, which we know is a hinge, but that can accomplish the old partner hinge action. This isn't going to be suitable for everybody. You've got to prepare your material beforehand. You better test it with someone and make sure it works. But it is a very clever idea, and to the right group, it could be well received.
And don't try to sight call it.
And don't sight call it.
You just figure out, let your body figure it out. And at first, it's a little bit like riding
Hold
a
it.
bicycle.
You can't say that. You have to say it on this microphone. So you're going to get the mic down. Oops to him.
And then after a while, you develop the...
Hello?
Oh, I know what's happening. This is really funny.
I'm hearing voices.
Do we know who that is? That's Arden Hopkin. That's our voice coach, and his thing is coming out our house sound. Yes.
Say that whoever that was didn't need a mic, actually.
Yeah. He's the master.
Ventriloquist 101.
No, I don't think there was. I think I heard Arden and thought someone was just speaking. Yeah, that's pretty weird. Okay. The next one we have, I've shown Barstool before. I'm happy to show it again because it seems to be a big hit. But how many people in here haven't seen Barstool dancing? Okay. I guess I will show it briefly. This is kind of I don't know the right situation to use it. I just showed it to people in the hallway or messing around, but I know either Vernon or John has taken it and used it with a big group effectively. So it's just an idea that you can take and figure out how to run with. And it kind of goes like this. I only do it with 4 people at a time. So we need 4 people. Maybe a normal couple up there would be great. If we want to have 2, we'll just do it with 1 group. And if you haven't done Barstool before, you should feel free to come up and just maybe then you'll see it for real. Good. 1, 2, and we need 1 lady, please. Excellent. Okay. This is fine. What we're going to do is we're going to make Gene be so-called the bar stool.
Anybody not feel that?
I have an idea. Hold on.
When I shut the mic off, he came on, but I turned it back on.
I don't think so. I think it's the room volume, and I just turned the room volume all the way off. Let's see if we don't hear him anymore. So the idea is it's as if Gene is on a bar stool, and if we had a bar stool, that'd be great to sit him on it. I was thinking we could put one of those chairs, but we'll let them, they won't have a chair for real. So for the moment, do this, but you could see, and it needs to be a bar stool that can swivel. So Gene, you notice how you're kind of standing on that piece of the metal plate? You can't move from that plate. We're going to do 2 couple dancing. We're going to do all the calls, all the parts, the real way we dance, except that the other 3 dancers have to breathe and adjust around Gene so that Gene doesn't have to leave his spot. Gene's on to turn in place. Okay? This doesn't sound so hard, does it? These guys are confident. And it takes some space to do this, so we'll see how it goes. But so you need to start real simple with this, and you have to gain experience as to which calls are easy and which calls are hard. I'm going to start with some facing couple calls, and let's start with a real simple one that we teach our dancers. Do-si-do. Do-si-do.
Don't move. Don't move, Gene.
And we're done. Pass through. Now, you notice how Gene can't move, and Pat's stuck to the golden goose, so she can't move either, right? Okay. I'm about to say, what would you do to get him facing back in? Partner trade. But yeah, you can turn, but it's going to feel weird. Watch Gene and Pat go, all partner trade. And they did it great. And you notice the other 2 had to breathe way over there. Pass through. Partner trade. You're home. Okay. Since we got the pass-through action going, let's slowly do a square through 4. The right pull by, which is lots of walking for 2 of them, face in, and then it changes who gets to walk a lot and who doesn't. Face in, pull, face in, pull. Partner trade. No, but she should go right shoulder with you. Yeah, you wanted to go the inside. Okay. But you see, even the little calls, it makes everything very different. Step to a wave. We'll look at some ocean wave ones. These all feel different. Swing through. Half right and left.
There you go.
And you notice how Ginny had to breathe over. Swing through again. Half right, half left. See how it takes a lot of space because now we're out this way. Spin the top. No problem here because the bar stool's in the middle of the spin the top. But watch how different the second one feels. I have confidence that these dancers will not succeed here. Spin the top. Turn half. And yet they did it.
So
we have a normal right-hand wave. Normal. Recycle. Pat folds, follows, and faces. Veer left. Tag the line. I think Scott's done this before. Face right. Wheel and deal. This one's not very hard because the bar stool's kind of on the inside. Reverse half sachet. Just get the girl on the other side any way you want. Okay. Well, that would have flowed maybe. Veer left. And this time, the wheel and deal feels very different. Wheel and deal. It's a lot of backing up for Pat. Okay? So that's the idea behind Barstool. Work it out with 4 people, understand the easy moves, the medium moves, the hard moves, and you'll always have somebody in the crowd who says, we want to do Relay the Deucey with a whole square. And it's really hard to do it with a whole square because it exaggerates. If you had a tidal wave, you could have a tidal wave all the way down there, and then the right thing would go all the way over there. But we have had squares dance Relay the Deucey, not necessarily in real time, but just messing around. Typically, I don't do music unless they get really good and they want to do some dancing. So that's kind of Barstool. Any questions on that? No, Relay. The question was, have them do Relay the Deucey with 4 Phantoms. Vernon, you've used this in places. Do you have any comment about using it with a bigger crowd than just me messing around with a little group?
Yeah, don't.
Thank you, Vernon. And, yeah, you guys are done. There's one other. Oh, yeah. If we have 2 couples up who are willing to dance mirror image, I will just do a couple of mirror image calls. We were doing this in the hallway in the hotel earlier because someone wanted to understand. Yeah, all the good stuff happens in the hallway. So as I said, mirror image is like driving in England where you're on, quote, the wrong side of the road from us. So all the rights and lefts are interchanged, and clockwise and counterclockwise, that means are also interchanged. But boys are still boys, girls are girls. When we normally square up, we have the boy on the left, so here they have the boys on the rights. No, we have the boy on the right. Okay, I'm just going to give normal calls. This is the same as the C3A mirror, except it's going to apply to every single call, and I'm not going to say the word mirror first. So we'll start simple again like we did last time, do-si-do. And it's good to tap your left shoulder. So they all went left shoulder. Good. Step to a wave. Swing through. Boy run, nothing special. Bend the line. Okay, here we're going to go slow. Right and left through. The right hand. And then you guys talk whatever you need. I'm just going to talk like I'm kind to normal people. Right and left through. See, that takes a lot of stuff. Veer left. Bend the line. Flutter wheel. Oh, I screwed up. My bad. Good. And they did it right. It was bad flow. And yeah. Square through 3. Chase right. Walk and dodge. Partner trade. And notice how Vernon went right shoulders out there when it should have been left. Sometimes you'll mess up, and it doesn't matter. But my experience is, if you want to get good at dancing mirror image, the less times you mess up, the better off you are. You got to really try hard to get the left shoulders, even when it doesn't matter. And face your partner, swing, and you're happy. Yeah, get that twirl out correct. And make sure yeah. And doing the singing call mirror, of course, is fascinating because it's got the swings and the other stuff. Yes, bend the line was normal because it was a 2-face line. Wheel and deal from a 2-face line, no big deal. Wheel and deal from a 1-face line, you have to have the other couple go in front. Okay? One simple, consistent rule, very hard for us to execute because of how we learn and think about square dancing. Bear.
Can we combine the mirror with the bar stool?
You can combine
and take our shoes off.
You can combine Archie with mirror image, but it doesn't gain you a lot in our experience. And you could do Archie mirror image bar stool with your shoes off. And we did make up a dangle. I'm not big on dangles, but we made up a dangle for dancing mirror image in a square with 3 collars, which is a mirror Purple Heart badge.
Does it say objects in the mirror may seem to be closer than they appear?
I don't know. Let me end at least what I have with something that I haven't really worked out as a full-blown, let's put on the music and dance and do all this cool stuff. But again, it's one of those hallway or after midnight things of, oh, wow, if we could get 16 people, that'd be really cool. So if we could get 16 people who dance plus, we need 8 boys in a square over there and 8 girls over here for the moment.
Do you want this first row of seats?
No, I'm going to move them together. Don't worry. Do you guys remember in the old days, have you ever seen letters from like when they had Pony Express and they had to, writing overseas was expensive? those letters were written on a piece of paper, and they hand wrote it, and it was written all the way down, and then they turned the paper 90 degrees, and they wrote another, they kept on going, because it ends up, you can read script writing, and you can distinguish. It was a little hard to read. Has anyone ever seen that? You got to look, museums. Yeah, one person? You guys are so young. You don't know about the old days. Okay, let's have the boys have the heads past the ocean, and the girls have the sides past the ocean. Extend your tag. So the problem is we don't have enough room to square dance in here, have you noticed? So we can do that same trick we just did with the handwriting with these squares. So we have a flagpole center of the boys' square. If we have a flagpole center of the girls' square, if the girls would move over so their flagpole centers are merged, just merge the two squares. Raise your hands as appropriate. And, okay, and if we're spaced exactly right, okay. Does everyone kind of visually, I like to do it with girls and boys so you can see what you've got. This is the setup, okay? And we're just going to square dance. We're going to start with things that they're confident with, like swing through, go. Half. And it's very disorienting to be in this. My experience is once you get lost, you have no clue where you are. All square sense goes away. But the people around you do because they know where they are. Swing through. Would we be up for a call like scoot back? Do you see where you're going in and coming out? Scoot back. Go in, trade, and go out. Now, another thing they're inventing in real time is traffic patterns, because there's no rules about what the real traffic patterns are. Let's try that again. Scoot back. Go in, trade, and come out. And if no one rushes, and we still have those stars are our anchors, right? Swing through. Let's get out of the waves for a moment, because we can have some other funny effects. Oh, actually, no. We'll do this. If I asked the centers to do an all 8 circulate, do you know where you're going? Centers circulate. Go. Good. And we're going to do it one more time just so you get that feel. Centers circulate. Okay. This is how you might work up to all 8 circulate in your group, right, when you're teaching it. Can we have the ends circulate? Okay. Yeah, you all have to walk. And notice, okay, I'm going to do it again, but we want to watch Wanda in the red and Vernon and see how they relate as they each do their own part and where they end up. Ready? Ends circulate. See, Wanda had it pretty quick, and then Vernon had the longer path. Okay, so that's a little tricky. So if we were to do an all 8 circulate, the whole mob seed would go. All 8 circulate, go.
Beep, beep.
Swing through, just to give us a call they're good at. This will not flow so well, but it'll be funny. Centers run around the ends. Go. The girls should be a couple with the girl. The boys should be a couple with the boys. All the girls are looking at the head walls, and the boys are looking at the side walls. And we've straightened out any little discombobulations. This call is really not a lot of fun, but it's fun to watch. I'm going to call a couple circulate for a moment. And you'll notice in every little star, they have to kind of disengage each other. Okay? Couple circulate. And then the other thing they do is they run into each other right on the other side, which is just a pretty funny feeling. Ready? Couple circulate. See? Yeah, arches are good. This one you might think wouldn't work, but watch this. Bend the line. They're all worried, but they didn't need to be. Okay? See, the girls have lines facing at the sides. The boys have lines facing at the heads. Is that good? What? You want to call pass-through? No, I'm not going to. Scott has other ideas. His session will be later. Let's have, I want right-hand waves again. So have anyone who needs to turn around to make right-hand waves. That would actually be all the bells. But okay. The really cool calls are the plus calls that are done from waves. Let's just start with spin chain through. Okay. Well, then, it's interesting. Here's a call that we don't use very often. It's kind of boring because the ends stand around and all that. It's really a lot more interesting in this thing, but it's still doable. Spin chain through, turn half. Centers 3/4 by the left. Some people in the middle wait for that. Good. The star goes half. See, it's a pretty star in the middle, and then you meet same sex for the 3/4, and you're all happy. Very good. And this could look cool in exhibition, or if you had a hall where you could look down at the top. Do another one. Spin chain through. That'll give the people who stood around a chance to do it. We'll have to ask them later if the people on the inside are having fun. And then the next step up from spin chain through, what do we normally teach next? Spin chain the gears. This one's going to take a little bit of thinking. This is one of those things that I didn't know what was going to happen at first, but having done it a few times, I know the trouble parts, just the same way when you have to learn to teach scoot back. Spin chain the gears. Turn half, centers 3/4, the others turn around, the very centers trade, and everyone stop. Wait for the centers to trade. Now, you know how when you turn around on spin chain the gears, you're going to make a star? Well, if they all turned around in place, which is great. They did just what they thought. But they really need to slide in toward their star. So everyone slide in so you have left-hand same-sex stars. And when you turn around, that's going to be your job to get there. And notice the stars are no longer in the corners of the square. They're on the center lines of the square. And they all should be left-handed. Okay, turn the star 3 spots. There's some people in the very center. They trade. The people who have to flip out, and you're going to move away from the star. You're good, Wanda, and grab a right hand right there. And I'm sorry, my table's in your way. There you go. So it took a little bit of work, but they did it. Okay? I don't want to make them do it a second and third time. What's next after spin chain the gears?
Go home.
Well, there's 2 choices. Either relay the deucey, which is pretty difficult because unless you have people who really can walk and focus on their own square, and there's also spin chain and exchange the gears, which is not as hard as it sounds. You have to just move around an extra clump of people and make sure you go far enough. If we had a little more room and a little more time, we could do both of those. Columns don't work very well, but wave calls and some 2-face lines, and if you work the advanced program, crossover circulates, in-roll circulates. There's a bunch of other things. Split circulates work. That you just kind of learn what's good and what's bad. And for messing around for 10 or 15 minutes with a square, they might have fun with it. Thank you, guys.
I'd just like to add, don't do this on your fun night. And it's always a neat reaction and response when you try to do it when there's not 16 callers doing it. It's just dancers.
I'm sorry we used up all the time. It ends up it's 11:59:27 right now, at least by my watch. And we're supposed to go to lunch, I think, at 12 or something. Lunch opens up at 12:15. If anyone has a comment or question, I'm happy to. I don't have a name for it. I've been calling it overlapped squares because they kind of overlap. If someone has a really clever name like that Pavlovian partner, I'd be interested. If interlocking squares, the Baker squares, I don't know. It is the case that if someone knows the C1 dance program, all we've done is take the C1 phantoms and filled them in with more dancers. But I don't like to tell people that because then they think, oh, it's challenge thing. It's just, and it could look cool in exhibition too.
Tell them what Jerry Helt did for the big beginner dance party leaders workshop.
Remind me. You tell.
Okay. Jerry Helt has a whole bunch of little simple games. They're not square games, but they're little simple games that we videotaped at the beginner dance party leaders workshop. We only get Jerry to come about once every 5 years. Okay? And this was a super one. We videotaped it, and I'll be turning it into a DVD for CALLERLAB to sell. So when you come back or look at the CALLERLAB stuff, look for that DVD because it's a treasure chest of things that you can do with people.
That was Cal Campbell, Colorado.
Anyone else have a comment, question? Keith Ferguson.
Keith Ferguson, Saratoga, California. I've used the one now, one later idea, and one thing I just sort of came up with on the spur of the moment once with that really gets a nice laugh is at the end I'll say stack the wood twice, once now, once later. I never tell them it's later. And you can always count on the fact that at the end of the tip, somebody will raise their hand and say, you never told us it was later. And I said, if I've got to tell you when to stack the wood, it's later than you think.
Which is a yellow rock, right? Yes. Stack the wood is another term for yellow rock.
Len Webster from the Twin Cities. I know Clark used some of these for teaching purposes. I know he did something like Phantoms when we were in the C1 Hall at Nationals. So they're good teaching things, do half the call. Simon Says. I know we have a caller that does Simon Says, and you only do the call if he says Simon Says.
That's fun.
Ron Kaepnick from New Jersey. With the new dancers' graduation, one of the nice things to do with them is the rope dance. Get a rope, put it around the swing. If you have about 2 feet of elastic, that works good to connect the 2 pieces of rope and gives a little stretch. But it teaches the new people about breathing the square. So you're not allowed to touch the rope. The counter dancers have to expand whenever the heads go in and out or whatnot.
Okay, let's wrap this up. I thank you guys for your attention and hope you got something out of it. Enjoy your lunch.
I'm going to make a